Hi everyone. So yesterday or the day before we talked about sexual reproduction in humans. Now we're going to make it more general and talk about sexual reproduction in animals. So again, you have the notes for this. If not, I'll put them up on the website. Whoops, can't see that really. Just a minute. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Just a minute. Okay, there we go. All organisms from the animal kingdom start off life in the same 4 steps. So they're all going to start the same way here. So number 1, remember everything in red you need to write down. So gametes with half the number of full chromosomes are formed through meiosis. So gametes are going to be formed, so that would be like the sperm and the egg, and they have half the number of chromosomes. So second point, the sperm, which is the male gamete, fuses with the egg, which is the female gamete. Now, the fertilized egg now has a full set of chromosomes. So this is going to be 46 for humans. Different organisms will have different numbers of chromosomes. So when we're talking about 46, that's specific to humans. And the diagram here is just, we can see the embryo growing and develops. And it divides cells through the process of mitosis. So if you look here, we've got the cells, you can see them as we go here. So we start out with our single cell, and then it's just consistently growing more and more until we start to see what starts to look like life in here, some sort of organism in here. Now this is human, this is how we start out, so we look a little funny in the beginning. Now the basic human life cycle. We're going to draw this here. So we're going to start with, let's start with this egg, and this is the sperm, okay? So we've got the sperm permeating the surface of the egg, so it's going inside, it's breaking into it, and this would be our fertilization here. So when that happens, now we've got, so the chromosomes, in terms of chromosomes, the sperm has 23, the egg has 23. As soon as they end up being fertilized, now we've got a cell, a single cell that has 46 chromosomes. So this is our fertilized egg at this point. Now, through this, we have growth and development. Growth and development. Okay, so growth and development is happening, and then we end up with our embryo. So this would be multi-celled here, and each of these cells here have the 46 chromosomes here. So through the growth and development, this is mitosis. So mitosis is happening, and now we're going to have lots of different cells in here. Okay. Now, through this, this is now birth, okay, so birth, and this is, now we're going to draw a little baby. Let's have a little baby. Mine's going to be a stick person with, oh my goodness. This is our baby here. So, give birth. Now we're human. Now we're alive. So as we move through to adulthood, so now this is a real live adult. How did we get there? What processes to the cells? What had to happen to become an adult? Yeah, it's more growth and development. So I'm going to put growth and development. And again, it's through the process of mitosis that we grow. So we're growing and we're becoming an adult. Now, once you're an adult, once you reach puberty, you start to produce your sex cells or your gametes. Well, actually, girls always have them, but you start releasing them if you're a girl. So the 2 different gametes are what? Yeah, so we have sperm on one side, and then the other one is the egg. So you can have either the sperm or the egg. So the sperm is going to have 23 chromosomes. The egg is also 23 chromosomes. And then from here, we go back over to this section here. So this is where the sperm permeates the egg. So this is the basic human life cycle. And this is how our species survives. So you can copy that down in your notes in that big blank spot there. Okay, this is fertilization here we're going to talk about. So fertilization, it's the title, is a little cut off, but fertilization, aka, what does aka stand for? Also known as conception. So it is the moment when an egg and a sperm fuse together to create a new organism. So when that happens, when the sperm and the egg fuse together, we have a new organism being created. Now, in humans, this process happens inside the body. It's actually in the fallopian tube that ends up happening. Now, there's something called external fertilization. So if we look back, sorry, just a minute here. Oh, crap. Sorry, I keep doing this. There we go, sorry. So fertilization, so this is inside the body is for humans. Now we have external fertilization. So the word external, what does that mean? Yeah, it's outside, right? If you were to exit, that would be leaving. So external fertilization is when the sperm and the egg meet outside of the bodies of both the parents. An example of this, we've got a little frog here. So this is common in animals that live in water. And so I want you to think of, why do you think that would happen in water? Basically the sperm swims, right? So the sperm needs to be able to swim. So if the species live in waters, then that works okay because the sperm can swim through the water to find the egg. So what happens is that females lay the eggs in the water and the sperm fertilizes them in the water. So internal fertilization is the opposite of that. So external versus internal. So humans use internal fertilization, and this is common in animals that live on land. We've got this nice little tortoise picture here. And you've probably seen animals do this in the world. You've probably seen dogs, or I actually saw birds one time do it outside my window, which was rather interesting. So this is when sperm travels from inside the body of the male to the inside of the body of the female to meet the egg. So in humans, that would mean the sperm would leave the penis and go into the vagina, and then it would travel through the fallopian tubes to find the eggs. And we'll talk more about that later. But that would be internal fertilization when that happens. Now, there are usually specialized reproductive structures on the males and the females to help the sperm get to the egg. So if you think about the human body, this would be the penis. The penis is shaped so that it can enter inside the vagina, and so the sperm can more easily get to the egg. Now, we have something called hermaphrodites. Now, hermaphrodites are animals that have both female and male reproductive organs in each individual. So earthworms are an example of that. Now, it's important to note they do not fertilize themselves. So these are not clones. They're still reproduced through sexual reproduction, which means two different earthworms come together and mate. So it's still sexual reproduction, and the earthworms will fertilize each other like that. Now, what happens when humans have both sex organs? So this can actually happen where a human baby would be born with both, any variation of primary sex characteristics. So when that happens, humans, we call them intersex. So we don't call people hermaphrodite when that happens, even though they do have both the sex organs. So I wanted you to think of, why would you think we would not call people hermaphrodites? Yeah, it's basically, no human wants to be compared to an earthworm. And it's not quite the same thing. Like, biologically, it's different. So just be aware of that people who are intersex exist. It's within the population. So just be aware of that and to use proper language and appropriate language when dealing with that. Now, sexual reproduction uses meiosis, which makes offspring that are different than the... Oh, you know what? I forgot to tell you this. This, add this in. Add into your notes. So right on the bottom of that page, you've got space there. So add that in. Okay, so sexual reproduction uses meiosis, which makes offspring that are different from the parents. So this is what provides our genetic variation, which means that every individual in the population has a different sequence of DNA. So that means every single organism produced through sexual reproduction is unique, has unique DNA, except for identical twins, of course, which we talked about the other day. Now, the genetic information of both parents is represented in offspring. One thing to note, variations are not always easy to see. So we can pick them out in humans pretty easy because we're used to looking at humans. But for example, sunflower plants, wheat fields, etc., those can be genetically different to each other, so they can have genetic variation, but it may not be obvious to the human eye. So here's an example. These are research plots here. So if you ever see a field like this, where they're broken up into these plots, these long rectangles, each one of those rectangles is a different type of plant. So they're just slightly different from each other. And this is the way that agricultural scientists can do experiments and figure stuff out. Now, benefits to variation. They're one of the biggest things is just with variation, an organism is able to adapt with the environment when it changes. So you're not stuck. So one disease is not going to take everybody out. And we even see that right now in the COVID-19, the virus is affecting people very differently, right? So that would be some probably linked to people's, at least somewhat linked to their genetics. So for some reason, it's affecting people differently in certain ways. Now, your assignment for today, you're going to read pages 27 to 34 in your textbook and do questions 1 to 4, 6, and 11 on page 34. And then I think we're going to have another Zoom meeting so that we can do the corrections together. But I think I'm going to post a couple videos also for you to watch as well as this one, ones that we would have watched in class. Okay, thanks guys.